Hi, it's Karen from the Progressing Christian Sanctuary again, and it's Friday. How's your week been? Mine has been incredibly wonderful and challenging. Today, I'm going to share with you a commentary from a book that I picked up in seminary. It's the Women's Bible Commentary with Carol A. Newsom and Cheryl H. Ringa, the editors. It's kind of old, or relatively old, copyright 1992 by Westminster John Knox Press. And I used this in seminary, and I still use it because I think it's a really good resource, especially if you're like me and grew up where women's voices were not always utilized very effectively. So I'm going to read to you a little bit of commentary on Genesis, the parts that we've been talking about this week. And I'm reading from page 14. All too often, readers come to Genesis weighted down by Augustine's or Milton's interpretation of the story. What if one notices that the snake does not lie to the woman, but speaks the truth when it says that the consequences of eating from the forbidden tree is gaining the capacity to distinguish good from evil, a godlike power which the divinity jealously guards, and compare the snake's words at 3:5 with God's words at 3:22. The snake, like the Greek giant Prometheus, who was said to have given fire to humankind, is a trickster, a character having the capacity to transform situations and overturn the status quo. The trickster has less power than the great gods, but enough mischief and nerve to shake up the cosmos and alter it forever. The woman believes the snake, and in an important pun, the narrator says that she sees the tree as good to look at, good for making one wise. She is no easy prey for a seducing demon, as later tradition represents her, but a conscious actor choosing knowledge. Together with the snake, she is a bringer of culture. And I'm wondering if that perspective influences you at all. Perhaps not. Maybe it might make you think about things a little bit differently. This week I started work on a Doctor of Ministry, and I've been doing a lot of reading, so you can see that my eyes are kind of red from doing a lot of that. But I came across a story that was in the first book that was assigned, and the book is entitled The Holy Longing, The Search for a Christian Spirituality by Ronald Rolheiser. Its copyright is 1999, I believe. Yes, 1999, and it's a Doubleday publication. On page 38, he writes this story that he says that he got from a myth called The Sweetness of Life. And at page 38, he tells this story. And I'm reading this to you because this story is one of the things that was given to me this week as I've been thinking about these texts. And if you're intentional about things and pray first, then I do believe that insights are offered and given up in our everyday life. Once upon a time, there was a man who was a hunter, a great hunter who knew everything there was to know about the forest. He knew which berries were poisonous and which could be eaten, which herbs were good and which were not. He knew which birds could be hunted, and he knew where they hid themselves. He knew all of this because his father had taught it to him, and his father had been instructed by another father before him, and so on back through many generations. The great hunter came from a long line of noble and wise hunters. One day the hunter's wife became pregnant, and the hunter intuitively knew what the child would be his firstborn son. And so each night, as his wife slept, the hunter, through a magic he had created, drew the spirit of his son out of his wife's womb and took him into the woods, where he taught him all the secrets of the woods, which berries were poisonous, which herbs could be eaten, where all birds lived, and how they could be hunted. Then, before morning, through his magic, he would place the son back into the mother's womb. She, on her part, slept, and did not know that each night her son left her womb to learn hunting with his father. Finally, the day arrived for the son to be born. The women of the village gathered to sing songs of praise for the firstborn, and the child was delivered. What a huge baby! And how precocious! He nursed for just one day. The next day he refused milk and asked for meat. On the third day he began to walk. On the fourth day he ran, and the next day, now all grown up, he joined his father for a hunt in the forest. Father and son set out, and immediately upon crossing the clearing and entering the forest, they came upon the honey bird. Aware of the secrets of the woods, they followed the honey bird, knowing it would lead them to honey. When they reached the tree within which the bees had stored a large cache of honey, the father climbed the tree and instructed his son. I will hand the honeycombs down to you. Put them into the calabash, but do not eat any of the honey. Don't even lick your fingers, for the honey is very bitter, and it is not to be eaten. But the son, knowing all that the father had taught him, knew too that the honey was in fact very sweet, and so instead of putting it into the calabash as the father had ordered, he ate it, all of it, down to the last drop, licking his fingers clean when he had finished. When the father came down from the tree and saw what had happened, he became enraged. He glared in anger and disbelief at his son, who stood defiantly before him. What do you make of that story? Do you see any kind of connection to the Genesis text that we started with on Monday? I think I might have a little connection, but I'd be interested in what kind of sense you make out of it. So let me know. And Deb, you keep on with the sewing the fig leaves. I'm interested to hear about that. Thanks, and see you Saturday or Sunday. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.